which I affectionately call asset protection planning. And I'm going to be teaching you some things here that you will have a natural resistance to. So be prepared to open your mind and listen to an idea or two that folks have been using for centuries, primarily the wealthy. And you'll see how we can borrow from them and create an inheritance arrangement for our children or our other loved ones that makes much more sense than the usual outright distribution to them where they blow it in a matter of months or a few short years. Years ago, when life was a lot simpler, it was the norm for parents to leave their estates outright to their children with no strings attached. Back then, the dollar amounts and the odds of the kids losing everything quickly were small. But now estates are much larger, and the middle-aged children who inherit them are drowning in a sea of 50% divorce rates, record-setting bankruptcies, all-time high foreclosures, and out-of-control lawsuits. It's a jungle out there, and I don't see a lot of signs of improvement. So what planning option should John and Mary choose to protect the $450,000 inheritances each of their children will receive when John and Mary die? Number one is the answer. That is correct. It is what we call the Bulletproof Trust. This trust goes by many other names, including the Generation Skipping Trust, and is, well, there's another one too I like. It's called the Dynasty Trust. But don't worry too much about those fancy names. Think of this trust as bulletproofed from all of the problems that perhaps your children could encounter over the years after your deaths. After John and Mary die, their trust will automatically split into two new trusts, one for Bart and one for Alice. So we're going to go back to our little Walmart containers here and show you how this works. Here's John and Mary's trust. When they both die, this trust will actually divide like a cell divides. The one becomes two. Here's the trust for Alice, here's the trust for Bart. So we have trusts for the two children. What we need to do is we need to transfer at the death of the second spouse to die, John or Mary, the assets out of this revocable living trust into two new trusts, both of which are irrevocable. More on that in a moment. But one thing we've done is we've taken our IRAs that were attached to our trust, and we've designated these trusts for the kids to be the beneficiaries. Not the kids, but their trusts. We've done the same with life insurance and annuities. The trusts are the beneficiaries. And then, after the death of the second spouse to go, John or Mary, we transfer the assets in equal shares to the two trusts for the two children. So there's the cash, there's the mutual funds, the stocks and bonds, and we divide up the real estate in equal shares as well. This trust goes away. Now we have two trusts, one for Bart, one for Alice. But we're not done yet. We've got to fit them with a new piece of equipment. So each new trust will immediately be fitted with its own bulletproof vest. Now, if I could elicit your help, we will put a bulletproof vest on Bart's trust. Very good. And we will do the same on Alice's trust. Thank you very much. Where did the assets go? Well, they're still there, but nobody can see them. Interesting. I'll give you a little further explanation on how this works. You see, John and Mary read the newspaper and watch the evening news, and they know about divorce rates. They know about bankruptcies. They know about all of the creditor problems and lawsuits out there that people are facing. And they're afraid of that when it comes to their children and to their grandchildren. But they're also concerned about some of the real nitty-gritty issues that are facing those kids right now. And the first big one they're worried about is Bart's alcoholism. Alcoholism is a raging problem in this world, not just this country. But here, where alcohol is so readily available on every street corner, it's a huge issue. We're worried about Alice's over-controlling spouse. How many of you here have a daughter-in-law or a son-in-law that is not quite up to your standards? Yeah, we talked to a couple at the break. Well, that's not unusual. And Rusty, who is Alice's husband, is a bit of a problem with his gambling and his risky habits. We also have a problem with Lola. We've got 2 children there in that family, but neither one of them are Lola's kids. So do we risk leaving money outright to Bart, regardless of his alcoholism, if there's a chance that Bart could will his inherited money to Lola, and then Lola runs off with another man after Bart's death and leaves Bart's kids holding the bag? That's a big problem. That doesn't just happen on General Hospital either. That's a real life problem. And by the way, nothing against Lola. She's really a terrific woman. She's really supporting that family. But if she meets one of Bart's friends at Bart's funeral and is married in 6 months, she's taken that inheritance and she's off on her new life. Alice has MS, and if we see that getting bad, she may end up in a nursing home. That money that she's inherited is going to become toast. That money will have to be used for her care until it's spent down to $2,000. We can protect it by putting it into a trust that she has access to but does not own and is invisible to the Medicaid folks. So we get our cake and eat it too if we know how to plan in advance. So if you have a child that you think will never get sick all the way through his or her life, you don't need to worry about this. We have a grandson, as you know, that's autistic. We've got to figure out what to do there. And we can do it through a bulletproof trust. That's a basic supplement to your living trust. And by doing this, we've